Hello everyone, how's it going? How's your... I then had to think what day of the week it was. How's your weekend been? Hope as well. How's it going, Snuffle? First as always. How's it going, Selby? Hope you're well, mate. I'm always late. I'm always late. I have a 3-year-old. What do you expect? How's it going, Artemis? Hope you're well. Can't stop long. Yeah, no worries, Selby. I appreciate you just dropping in. Like always, guys, every little bit helps. So yeah, any time you can spend on the channel helps massively. And if you can't make it, then that's absolutely fine. If you can give it a follow or a plug somewhere, then brilliant. But ultimately, we've all got our own lives, so it's not an issue. So we don't know how this one will how this one will go tonight, guys, because that's a bit of a free flow one. So long story short, I've still got Amy's awesome interview to get out on podcast, so I didn't want to line up another guest too early for the July podcast. I've got to get Amy's out this week. As you can already find it, by the way, guys, on our YouTube and on here on the highlights on the channel. So and also I've had a bit of a busy weekend, so I didn't want to sort of do last minute. People don't realise what goes on behind the scenes when you line up guests with sort of declarations and setting up the Zoom stuff and the technical tests and that you have to do before you even go live. So I didn't need that stress today. So we're doing a bit of a free flow, old school Chronic Pain Club chat tonight, which is why it's down as a just chat and stream rather than a talk show. But hopefully you guys get involved and contribute as always and make it as awesome as it always is. Sorry, what's this? Bit weird for me, Snuffle, but I'm not in the woods this stream. Nice. Like, slightly worried what the alternative might be, but as long as you're safe, mate, that's all that matters. I see you on the at the Hell and Mega Tour, wasn't it? Yeah, it was awesome, mate. I'm very sore now, and my skin is suffering, but it was awesome. Wasn't ideal though coming home when we hit 5 lots of roadworks on the M11 just as we left London, so we didn't... I think it took me about an hour and a half to go about 20 miles, so that wasn't ideal, and I was exhausted. I think I rocked in about 3:30 in the end, but yeah, no, it was very good. Good night. And like I say, it was good for me to be just back out amongst people again, because that's been the big issue over the last couple of years in the shielding and everything else. It kind of affects your anxiety massively. You know, so it just yeah, I'm trying to build up that exposure, and that felt like the kind of pinnacle. Like download was a lot bigger, but obviously it's in a massive open field, and if you had a bit of a freak out, you could go for a wander, you could get out of the busy bits. You can't do that in the middle of a stadium. So yeah, it felt like a big step for me. So we thank you ever so much for the resub, mate. Your support is awesome. As always, the whole reason I've got this new mic here is sort of 70% down to you with all of the contributions you've made to the channel. So thank you ever so much, really appreciate it. And guys, if anyone in chat has got access to the emotes, show some love to Selby as a sign of appreciation. Something I want us to get going on this channel now. We've got subscribers and plenty of you. Use them emotes to welcome even new chatters, subscribers, just make people feel welcome. And it also shows off the emotes they can get if they sub too. And of course, Selby sporting that illustrious gold bits tier cheering badge. Which, let's be honest, I think it's going to be a while before that gets rivaled, mate. By the way, guys, on the channel, I did add, I think I might have mentioned this once before. I'm going to risk going on my channel and hope it's muted so you guys don't get an echo. Yeah, it is. On my channel, on the on the sort of main page, I did add, just for a bit of fun and just to give you guys some kudos for all the help you've given me, a little leaderboard. It's not meant to be competitive, so please don't. It's more to give recognition to those of you that supported this channel so amazingly in the early days. So if you look on the homepage of the channel, you will see, or under this, if you're watching on a PC and you can scroll down, you can see you can sort it by bits, subs and gifts, and you got all time and by month and week and everything else. And yeah, so yeah, you know, so just to give a couple of shout outs, thank you to Chunky Pup for the 4 gifted subs, leading with that one, for Snuffle for the 4 subs, been subscribing, the first subscriber I think, and from day one keep resubbing, so thank you so much. And Selby with that near on 11,000 bits. It's just mad for a channel as young as this. Like, I don't even want to know what that is per follower. We haven't even got a lot of followers, and to get that many cheers, I feel slightly guilty about. But thank you ever so much. And for anyone else who's contributed. But yeah, do check out that little board. It's not meant to be a competition. It's purely to give you guys some credit for the awesome support. You yeah, it's so many, Snuffle. And anyone that's bought bits on Twitch will know how many have I gifted, or have I done, or can't you say? Yeah, you're at the top leaderboard with 10,780, which is an extortionate amount. And like I say, the whole reason, let me just bring it into view, that I have this new fancy mic on a boom arm, is basically because of you. And I know other people have contributed, so that's not to do them a disservice, but thank you. What about yourselves? God, you really are competitive, aren't you? You're on, because I think you got some gifted ones initially, didn't you? So you've got 2 subs under your belt. And then under gifted subs, you're second with 3 gifted subs. But like I say, it's not meant to be as Selby has taken it. I know, trust me, I know there are plenty of streamers out there that do use it as a way to try and whip people up into a frenzy to contribute more, but you know that's not what we're here. For me, my priority is the same as over on the YouTube channel. And again, guys, if you haven't subbed, all the videos from the stream can be found over there, plus other shorts and podcast interviews and videos that I'm featured in for other organisations. I've created a playlist where, you know, when I've done interviews for other organisations and they've put it up onto YouTube. If you can just give me a sub over there, I'd really appreciate it. It costs absolutely nothing. It takes 2 seconds. But for us as a channel, it's about growing. It's about building this community. It's about getting you guys who keep turning up every stream to talk amongst yourselves, to make this interesting and ask things to me and everything else that makes this entertaining. It wouldn't be entertaining if I was talking I could be sitting here, you know, with someone gifting me 1,000,000 bits, and it would mean nothing if I had nobody watching. And the ultimate goal of this channel is to build a community on Twitch where arthritis, chronic illness, invisible illness can feel represented. You know, there's lots of other marginalised communities that are starting to get well represented on Twitch, but there really isn't for that sort of demographic that we go for. So yeah. Where's the loser glasses gone? That goes for Chronic Playing Club, because obviously this tends to be a talk show where we have guests or that sort of thing. You'll probably notice that disappears for these Sunday streams, because it's a bit different when I'm playing like Animal Crossing and Assassin's Creed and everything else. But when I'm doing the serious stuff, losing the glasses because one of you guys cashed in your pain points might detract from the conversation, I suppose. But 10 out of 10 for observation. So guys, speaking of schedules and everything, so for those of you that are new here, we stream this on a Sunday night, it's a just chatting show when we're just talking about chronic illness, invisible disability, raising awareness. When I have a guest on, that becomes a talk show, because that goes on to form a podcasts that you can check out by looking at my links there in chat. And so that's on a Sunday night from 7 o'clock UK time. We stream Animal Crossing in conjunction, in partnership with IFPA, which is the global sort of psoriasis body, sort of umbrella body for all the psoriasis associations around the world, for which I'm a global ambassador. We stream that on a Tuesday night, again, 7 o'clock, and that's just to raise awareness of psoriatic disease, but in a very light touch, light heart manner. The main goal for that is to bring people together. So if you've got an interest in psoriatic disease, great. If you just want to watch somebody who's terrible at playing Animal Crossing have a bit of fun playing Animal Crossing and learn something along the way, then great. But the whole point of that is to build this community that you're seeing here tonight. And we have just added, courtesy of Mrs. Joel vs Arthritis' changing work schedules, which helps accommodate this, the off-topic stream, which will now be on Thursday nights from 7 o'clock, guys. So that's an extra stream you're getting for your subs and support. And that is the one where I will just play computer games. At the minute, we're playing through Assassin's Creed Origins. And the idea is to maybe go through all 3 Assassin's Creed before we look at other things. But the idea of that is, if you guys want to talk chronic illness chat in the chat, then brilliant. That's the whole point of me being here, that I'm creating a space for you guys to meet one another and talk to one another and feel support and ask each other questions. But that for me is going to be one where I don't lead on these subjects, because you might not appreciate, but you know, when you're a patient advocate, you're also living with these things yourself. it can be quite a heavy load, and it's nice just for me to have one night a week where I can just play computer games with you guys and hang out with awesome people. So by all means, if you guys want to talk chronic illness on those Thursday night streams, those new Thursday night streams, then knock yourselves out. And I'll chip in every now and then, but I'm not gonna lead it like I do these ones and like I do the Animal Crossing one, because it's more just for my social as well as you guys, you know. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. But for those of you that are on the Discord, and if you're not on the Discord, why not? It doesn't cost a penny. You don't even have to be a subscriber. Link is there in chat. Well, no, I cocked up a little bit with that because obviously I'm new to streaming games. I'm normally used to streaming podcast talk show stuff. And I realised I was never going to get through the game playing it on stream one night a week. It would just take years. So I thought I'd do some last night. Didn't realise I accidentally killed the first main boss, and that unlocked all these cutscenes, all this story and lore, and all this stuff you guys might have been interested in. So yeah, apologies, I cocked up. We'll watch a YouTube video of the cutscenes you missed at the start of the next one, and then going forwards, I will just play side quests offline, and I'll leave the main story bit to the stream. But I'm learning. We're all learning together. So what we got? Snuffle. I've got enough to buy it when it's back next time. Alright, I'll look forward to that on Tuesday then, Snuffle. How's the sunburn? Not good, Selby. Not good. I'm peeling already. I don't know if it'll show on camera, to be honest. No, the lights don't make it look as bright pink, but it is very pink. I don't know if I sit back a bit, if that will adjust better. I don't think it really... You can kind of see there's a tone difference there, but the camera kind of is kind to me on this occasion. Yeah, so not good. Very sore, especially at that gig on Friday where I couldn't constantly keep applying moisturiser out of the fridge. I was stuck in the middle of the Olympic Stadium for hours, and I was getting itchier and itchier and itchier. So yeah, anyone who saw my social media posts, as I'm guessing Selby did, just a reminder that you don't have to be perfect all the time. You know, we're all human. We all make mistakes. I certainly did with that. I spend every single summer preaching about the importance of... Because psoriasis, a lot of people, the sun helps our rashes. It does me. It literally fades them. I'll go out in the sun, say, on Saturday. By Monday, my rashes are visibly... It just takes all the edge off. There's so much more, like, less noticeable. So we all know the benefits, but we also get complications if we get burn, and that can lead to further skin flares. And the other thing is a lot of the drugs that we take in the sort of rheumatic bubble or immune bubble, so like certain DMARDs and NSAIDs and things like that, do make you more photosensitive. And mine in particular, I'm on sulfasalazine, which I've been on since I was 12 years old. And when I first took it, I come out in blisters. I was put in a hospital bed next to a window and just covered in blisters overnight just because I sat in the window for a bit. So I do have to be really careful. I've got more tolerant of it over the years, but I properly cocked up. We went to the beach with my son. It was just a bit of a chill family day. The wind was blowing, so it didn't even really feel that hot, and by the time I knew I'd caught the sun, it was far too late. So yeah, I made a mistake. But I thought it's important to share the mistakes as well as the wins, because in this social media world, and it's something I talked about at the Psoriasis Association conference the other week in my talk, in this sort of filtered world, it can be very isolating, and you can cut people off and make people feel like failures if you only show the successes. So if all I ever did is talk about like the sport I used to be able to play and the awards I've won and things like that, you know, the version of me 5 years ago sitting there reading this on social media, it's demoralising, you know, because you feel like, well, how come they can do all this and I can't? So it's important for me to share the mistakes and the bad days as well as the good days, because that is a fair reflection. That is real life, and, you know, I don't do filtered. So, yeah, so I made a mistake. And I'm suffering big time, and I'm peeling, and I'm sore, and I'm getting through bottles and bottles of moisturiser. So how's everyone else's weekend been? So yeah, mine was quite exciting on Friday night with the Hella Mega Tour, but how's everyone else's been? I always forget that I'm more sensitive to the sun. I usually remember before I get burned. Yeah, I normally do. I'm well aware of it, and I had a hat on. Like the minute we got out of the car, I put a baseball cap on, which is why my my face is fine. But I was wearing my Pain Company vest with the skull and crossbones. I love it. And I guess the tops of my arms, that's the first time they've been out all year, because for those of you in the UK will know that May was pretty much a rain fest. It pretty much was just grey for the whole of May. So this is the first month where I've really got any sun on me, and my legs and forearms got a good sort of gentle base tan when I was at download. But yeah, my tops of my arms, that's the first time they'd seen proper sun, and it showed. So if anyone's got any questions or topics they want to cover tonight, guys, chuck them in the chat. Those of you that are usually here will know how this works by now. But yeah, if you want to ask a question, either of me or of our awesome community, there's a couple of people always in chat that have autoimmune conditions or invisible illnesses. If anyone wants to ask a question, get involved. If it's your first time here, then please do. We're a really friendly bunch. It's a safe space. Anyone that comes in and abuses the rules quickly gets kicked. And we'll go through them tonight, and that'll kind of be the theme of tonight. I'm happy for it to be led by you guys. I have a couple of questions. If you see me looking down, that's me just checking my phone, because I put a couple of things on socials about this. Let me just double check I haven't got any new ones come in, but we did have a few come in. So if anyone's got anything, chuck it in chat, and we will cover that, as best we can. And if we don't know, we'll say we don't know, but it at least opens the floor and we can have a conversation about it, and at the very least might raise a little bit of awareness, even if we don't have all the answers. Because ultimately, when I talk about these things, guys, it's important to remember I can only talk about my own personal experience and any education I've learnt along the way. It doesn't represent everybody else's experience, and it certainly doesn't invalidate yours if it's different. And that's a really important bit to remember. I find myself reminding people that on social media every single day, where I'll get somebody in my DMs who's feeling quite, down about themselves because I managed to do something that they couldn't or whatever, and having to explain to them that just because I can do this today doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow. 3 years ago I was playing rugby. I was even playing first team rugby for a brief period. I weren't good enough, I was just short on players. And now I can't break out of a walk. So it's not all rainbows and unicorns and happy things. So yeah, just remember that if we talk about stuff about our experiences here, it doesn't mean that yours are invalidated if they are different. Yeah, and please do get involved, guys, if you're new, because we do get lots of people, and I see lots of the same names lurking, and I don't call people out because I don't think, if you're lurking, you're lurking. You don't need me on your case, and I've been on those streams where people are calling out usernames and saying, oh, say hello, or hit the follow button, and that isn't, I don't think that helps, because if you just want to chill out and not get involved in chat, then that's your prerogative, and we should be accommodating to everyone. So, but if you have been hanging around for a few weeks and thinking about reaching out or saying hello, then please do. As Snuffle says, we're a friendly bunch, and also that's why we're here. The conversations and the raising awareness and that sort of thing is one part of it, but our primary goal is creating this community and this supportive place for you guys to share these things. And that only works if you guys get involved. There's only so many messages and things I can say to you before that gets, stale, or you hear it before, and that sort of thing. So yeah, please feel free to get involved. Snuffle, how are you? I'm going to pick on you first, sorry, just because you're being vocal in chat. How have you been lately? I know we had a chat recently about, you being sort of in between stools a little bit with waiting for answers. How's things been for you this week? Have you benefited or suffered from the sort of improved weather here in the UK, or does it not really have an impact? And I know a lot has talked about weather in this country massively, and arthritis and things, so no issue if it literally has no impact whatsoever. There are plenty of people out there that have none. And apologies if you see me taking lots of breaks to drink tonight, guys, or if I have to chuck a B right back or an ad break up. Lots of singing and shouting on Friday night, so my voice probably isn't as strong as it should be, or would normally be, that is. while we're waiting for people to get involved as well, guys, there's a couple of changes coming to Twitch. You might have heard of them, you might not, around the sort of affiliate and partner programs and ads and that, where it's long been discussed that Twitch is pretty stingy when it comes to its revenue split for ads. So I don't run any unless I have to go for a loo break or something, because there is literally no financial benefit. I could have 100 people watching this stream and I run a 1 minute ad break. I'll be lucky if I see more than 10 pence. It's just not. It's not worth it. So I don't run it. Twitch seem to have finally woke up to this, and they're now rolling out. It hasn't reached our channel yet, but they're going to be rolling out a new approach where I think if you run 3 minutes of ads in every hour, this isn't set in stone, it's subject to change. They will then drop what they call the pre-roll ads, which is what you see if you're not a subscriber the first time you drop into a channel. And then pre-roll ads are an absolute killer for new or young channels like ourselves, because people drop in, they might be semi-interested, but they can't be asked to wait through 30 seconds of ads, and they move on. So obviously the one way around that is to subscribe, but that doesn't help us with brand new visitors to the channel, and we get lots of people just come and go, who probably never even get into the meat and potatoes of what we talk about here because they lose patience with the ads, and I totally get that. I've been there. So yeah, hopefully going forward, if we run some sort of scheduled ads per hour, then new people dropping in won't get hit with a wall of ads from the get-go, and will hopefully mean that we get a little bit more patience from people waiting to hear us out, hear what we're talking about and what we do here. Thank you so much for the follow, Sierra Snow. It helps us massively. Really appreciate it. We're doing quite a niche thing here in trying to raise awareness of chronic illness, invisible disability on Twitch. So thank you so much. I know it's just pressing a button, but it really does help us. So and also gives you those notifications when we go live. We're here on Tuesday nights, Sunday nights and Thursday nights now as new and extra stream from 7 o'clock. And if you check out the schedule on the channel, there's a bit of something for everyone. We do this on a Sunday night where we talk raw, honest, sort of hard-hitting conversations about chronic illness. And every sort of other week I'll have a guest on interviewing. And then we do a stream on Tuesday night, streaming in Animal Crossing, where we raise awareness with IFPA on psoriatic disease and associated things. And then on Thursday night, it's a totally off topic, just game and geek out stream, but you guys can obviously hang out and ask questions amongst one another and carry on that chronic illness awareness chat. So yeah, thank you so much for the follow, really appreciate it. Snuffle, I've gone back to my old medication supply because the one I switched to wasn't working. Agent Hospital is going to take multiple months. Yeah, I know that feeling at the minute, mate. But it's safe. I was just switch now. I could go back. Yeah, and the thing is, you just need to advocate for yourself with that switching back thing, because you've been on this channel long enough now to know my horror show on that. Where I was told I could switch back, and then when things went wrong, I couldn't, or it was blocked for 11 months. So yeah, just make sure you stick up for yourself if it come to that, and you need to move back. I hope that works for you. Sacred, how you been? It's been too long, mate. I hope you're well. I'm good, thank you. How's your week been? How's your weekend been? And I promise I will get on Xbox and play Elden Ring with you soon. I know it's been too long. Got distracted, and I've been doing a big push on the whole YouTube thing and taking videos from the stream and trying to clip them and get some traction over there, so when I sit down at the computer and I finally have a spare few minutes and I'm faced with Xbox or trying to further the channel, at the minute the channel is definitely winning. Which isn't a bad thing, I suppose. Most people struggle with motivation. I seem to be the opposite. But you, Snuffle, you're happy with that outcome as a sort of intermediary sort of thing, I'm guessing. And with the urgent hospital appointment, mate, because you are in the UK, aren't you? Just keep pushing your GP, which for those who aren't in the UK, primary healthcare professional, basically, because they definitely are the key to the waiting lists at the moment. So when we had the issue with my son and his swollen tonsils and he was choking every night and it was terrifying. We give it a couple of months, because obviously my wife and I both work in the NHS and we don't want to be part of the problem. We know how stressful it is for people at the minute. But when we did chase back after a couple of months and then heard this horrific news that it was going to be like a 70-week wait, and we're like, he's freaking choking every day. We're not waiting 70 weeks. Our GP, I don't know what they did or what the letter said, but it definitely brought it to the attention, because you got to remember the specialists. They got this massive backlog, 2-year backlog in some cases, and they kind of need a steer or a nudge to know what's pressing and what's not. And it's the same reason why, all right, I've moaned about it and I've raised awareness that I'm having to wait over 700 days to see my rheumatologist. But I also know in the back of my head, I'm managing. All right, my attendance at work is pretty shit and my health is a little bit bumpy in terms of I can't predict what next week looks like. But compared to some people, I know there are lots that are worse off than me. So I shout about it from an advocacy point of view, but I'm not shouting at my doctors, because I know that in their list of people, there are people more, deserving to be seen than old me, who's had this shit since I was a kid. So yeah, just make sure you know when to chase your GP on that. So what we got? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up, guys. I just got back in after 2 years of being assigned in the mountains to get a good phone signal. That sounds like an effort, Sierra. Back to the mountains again. Oh, well, thank you for spending some of that precious time with us. That makes it even more special. Guys, in chat, please give a big hello to Sierra. We are a new channel here, so it's not every stream that first-time chatters drop in. So please make them feel welcome. So yeah, I'm intrigued what you do for a living, though, Sierra. But don't feel like you have to share. I just have an inquisitive mind. Sacred, yeah, not too bad, thanks. Just got home a few hours, so just going to chill for a bit. Yeah, no worries. Well, like I said on this stream before, Sacred, I feel like this is my one time that I've got to push this stuff. I don't think that you've had for those of you on Instagram doing this sort of thing will know what I mean by this, but in the pandemic, lots of people took to certain things. People jumped on Twitch, which I wish I freaking predicted that a year earlier. Then maybe this channel would have 3 times the numbers. But some people jumped on Twitch. Some people baked banana bread. Some people took up knitting or cross stitch or whatever. And lots of other people took to social media to share their chronic illness stories. However, that is pretty much dying a death now. Like, if I lose followers online now, it's more likely to be people closing their accounts than it is people unfollowing. And some people I had who were really good friends during the last 2 years and all the hell that went with it had just vanished, and fair play to them. They got what they needed. They got the support they needed during a difficult time, and they're off now living their lives, and that's brilliant. But it does mean that that window, I suppose, of opportunity where people want to hear about this stuff and want to listen and want to learn is sort of getting smaller. So yeah, that's the idea, Sacred, is I feel like it's while there's some momentum and people are booking me to do talks and wanting me to do this and that, I feel like I've really got to go 100 mile an hour at it. So at the minute, the spare time is going very much into YouTube videos and this channel. And if you haven't already, guys, I know I said this a lot and I'll stop after this, hit the subscribe button over on our YouTube channel, because it is a new one. I say new, it's a channel I had there for like 2 years and I put no content on it. Now we have content because we stream on Twitch and there's bits I can take out and use, and we also put all the old streams, so if you miss one you can catch up on there. But yeah, I'd appreciate it, because at the minute I'm one of those YouTube channels that get far more views than I do actually get subscribers. A bit like this channel, I suppose. But that doesn't help you when it comes to algorithms, because Google basically doesn't think you exist. So sorry, I'm catching up, guys, on chat. I had 3 months supply of the old meds, so I needed to be prescribed them again before I ran out. Got like a month left now, so yeah, just keep hammering that point, Snuffle, to your GP if that gets low. Yeah, and thank you, Sarah, for being part of the community. We have such a good bunch here. Like, we're a growing but still a small community, so every stream you'll see the same names in chat, which is it's really reassuring for me, but I'm sure it's very welcoming for other people as well, that the same guys who keep turning up and support what we're doing here. And it's just waiting for that snowball to catch now. We got to affiliate really quickly, but we know what we're doing here on Twitch is niche. We know that it's not going to be for everyone. Same as if I dropped into a stream, for a marginalised subject that maybe didn't apply to me, you might think, I'll pass or go somewhere else. But we know there's lots of people out there with our conditions. It's just a case of them finding us and you guys supporting the channel in even those tiny little ways, follows, retweeting when I'm going live or whatever on Twitter, all them little things. Which big shout out to Artemis, who does that every single time, and normally Amy as well, so thank you guys. That stuff really does help in a sea of choices. You know, we are just invisible, but we will get there, like our diseases, I suppose. So one of the things I was asked to talk tonight, guys, about, and feel free to add your own suggestions, topics, questions, whatever in chat, and I will come back to them. I've done a social media post recently. I've done a couple recently because it's been relevant, about me sort of upping or amplifying my all this stuff, advocacy stuff, when I'm off sick. So I've been off work a couple of weeks. Got another catch up with the doctor tomorrow to see what's happening. I've come a long way, and my wife's done an awesome job of getting me back out into the world socially again. I've still got a few things to sort out. But people get very confused, and it's a very prehistoric view, isn't it? Where they get confused and think, well, if you can do a Twitch show, why can't you do X, Y, and Z at work? But not understanding that this is part of what keeps me well. And for a long time, a couple of years ago, I very much stopped doing everything that I loved, what kept me happy, what kept me sort of like a confident, outgoing kind of person. I just used to stop it all. As soon as I was off sick, I felt like I had to punish myself. I couldn't do anything fun. I'd stop playing guitar, like as if like having a migraine would stop you playing guitar, or a bad back would stop you writing. All these sort of things that I used to do just as part of my day-to-day sort of well-being, work-life balance sort of thing, I used to stop doing, which then would ultimately mean when I went off sick, I would then end up getting worse. It's just common sense. Yeah, so you would do these things, and they kept you well during normal times. So then you go off sick and you stop them, you're only going to get worse. And it took a lot of CBT, a lot of well-being therapy, a lot of pain management, counselling stuff to get me to work with the guilt. You can't get rid of that guilt. That guilt is pretty much going to stay, or it certainly does in my case. But you can work with it to stop punishing yourself and see the value in all those little things. Like I said to you guys on previous streams, me hanging out here, talking to you guys, is kind of my social life in this weird, messed up world we have at the moment. I'm not able to play sport at the minute. I'm not able to go out weekly and meet up with a group of blokes that I would normally hang out with a common interest. That stuff doesn't happen for me now because of my health deterioration, the pandemic, and treatments being sort of delayed, and all this sort of stuff that Snuffle's already sort of touched upon. So doing this is the only sort of break I get from being stuck in the house all the while. So why wouldn't you keep doing it? Because you're only going to get worse if you stop doing it. So yeah, we'll talk about that quite a bit tonight, because it is a common theme, and the amount of DMs I get, people who don't feel like they can even do an Instagram post when they're off sick. Well, why not? But I used to feel like that. So you're not wrong. You're not terrible for thinking that way, because I very much did for a lot of my life. It's only since I started doing the advocating and educating myself and trying to fill in the gaps in my knowledge and doing stuff like pain management that I realised the value of these things and why I do them. The same as writing, like why I felt guilty that I couldn't write something and post it on my Facebook page when I was off sick. It's just mad. Why wouldn't you do that if that's what people write diaries? The only difference is I'm pressing post or publish. It's literally the only difference. But you take those things away, those things that make up you as a person, that give you quality of life, that that you love, those passions. What have you got left? You might as well just lay in bed all day, and that's not a life. So I'd encourage you to try and work with that guilt. It won't go. I can't get rid of mine. Literally every day of these weeks I've been off, especially when my wife was taking me to Download Festival and this sort of thing. I felt like a terrible human being, but I also knew I had to get out of the house. I had to stop this bubble I've been in for the last 2 years that is contributing to my low mood and depression and my flares and everything else. You have to break that somehow. And if you're signed off work because of that issue, then if you don't do it then, when will you do it? When will you do it? Sorry guys, I'll just take a break from my preaching to catch up on chat. So Sierra, I'm a soldier in the Philippines. Oh, sorry, you've had some hard experiences there, Sierra. Pain Monkey, welcome back. It's been a while since I've seen you in chat. I see your name come up occasionally in the viewer list, so I hope you're well. Yeah, you do need to do, and the thing is, just it's one of the things that my advocacy is teaching me, Pain Monkey, is that that whole working to live, not living to work sort of thing, for far too many years. What my output at work was the be all and end all, and it made me ill. I look back to 4 or 5 years ago. I ended up in hospital 4 or 5 years ago, because I basically ran myself into the ground, got this horrendous headache, and ended up on a bloody stroke ward having spinal taps and all this sort of stuff, when really it was just days of me not taking any breaks and just going hell to leather, and ain't healthy. I broke my ankle once on a Saturday playing rugby. Didn't get out of A&E until the early hours of Sunday morning. I went to work on the Monday on crutches, and just what was I thinking? So yeah, and I think that is a common thing though, guys. It is a common thing with people who have long-term health conditions and disabilities. You feel like you've got to add value, and that's natural. I spent most of my childhood in and out of hospitals. I couldn't be at school. I'd lose connections with friends. I used to play in a school band, and then when your mate would fill in for you on drums, that was like soul destroying. It was demoralising. So when you were well, you felt like you had to go 100 mile an hour to compensate and add value, and that doesn't work. Anyone who's done anything around pacing will know that doesn't work. And yeah, it's just mental. But we don't help ourselves, and sometimes we are our worst enemy, and I know I'm my worst critic, but I'm trying to work through it. But it doesn't mean that every now and then, like normally what will happen is when I come off here tonight, I'll get a massive wave of guilt. Oh my god, that's terrible, should I have done it? But then the way I see it, me talking to you guys and hanging out to you guys is no different to me inviting a friend round tonight to talk and ease my mental health and help me share my troubles and raise a bit of awareness, and ultimately advocating as my therapy. And I found it a couple of years ago when I was in a really dark place, and I just wish I'd have found it years ago, because for years I hid my conditions. I didn't want to be judged on them. I didn't want to be compared on the basis of, but he does all right because he's got this other thing going on. So I didn't mention it, and that wasn't healthy, because when it all went wrong big style in 2019, I had no support network. My mates didn't understand what was going on with me, so inevitably they distanced and everything, moved apart, and I found myself here right as the pandemic hit, with no social circle, no mates, no one I could meet in the garden 2 meters apart, and all that jazz. And it was a miserable existence, and I found all of this, so I just wish I'd have done it earlier. So yeah, find someone you can talk to, guys, who can get it. Yeah, employers do get tricky, but they're not all like that, and things are changing. So I had a really, really, really bad experience 10 years ago, where I basically had to walk before I was pushed, and that was like, and it was mental health related, but it wasn't because of the mental illness. It was my long-term health condition. I had a pain flare. It stopped me doing the things I loved. I couldn't ride my motorbike. I got depressed, and it spiraled. And because there was no support for people, especially in this flare remission cycle, it's not always great getting back in the front door. It's very easy if you're a new patient to keep that momentum going once you're in a specialist, sort of under specialist care. But when you go into remission for years, trying to get back into that place where you get support is really difficult. And yeah, that was in public sector, and it was horrendous. And it scarred me for life, and I do still think I'm going to be treated like that all the while, but I sort of have to keep reminding myself it was a one-off, and they just weren't very understanding and compassionate people, and that's a shame on them, really. You mentioned earlier your wife and you work in the NHS. Yeah, they are, NHS are, but like all things, Pain Monkey, everyone's under a lot of pressure at the minute, and that doesn't help my personal guilt, same as it wouldn't help my wife's personal guilt. So I think the trouble is when you work in the NHS, one day off feels like you're letting everyone down. Nobody tells you that. That's just what you put on yourself, because you do these jobs because you care. You work in public sector because you care and want to give something back. In my case, there's lots of us with long-term illnesses or illnesses from when we were kids that end up working in the NHS and places like that because that's that want to give something back. So it doesn't help with your guilt. But at the minute, with everything going on, people retiring, people leaving in their droves, the pressure, the backlog, the waiting lists. I'm not even clinical or front facing like my other half, but you still feel that pressure. It's just, it's like a lot of workplaces at the moment, I suppose. Cost of living, stuff like that. It's difficult because when people have pressure outside of the home, it ends up coming into the workplace, and when you're already in a stressful environment, it's not ideal. My employer isn't too bad and my knees swell. Yeah, and I think it also helps, like, this isn't taking anything away from your experience, Pain Monkey, but I don't get the visible stuff. I get psoriasis, which people just see as something that's contagious or bad hygiene or some, prehistoric thinking like that, which I promptly educate them on. But because my JIA is psoriatic in nature, apart from my fingers and toes, I don't get real visible signs of it. So my knee can be in agony and it won't swell. My back can be wrecked and there's nothing to show for it. My neck can be absolutely rigid some days, and like to the point it makes me cry the amount of pain. And bearing in mind I've been in pain most of my life, I have a fairly high pain threshold, but it can get to that point where you literally are just sobbing over it. And I don't have that, so sometimes I do wish I had more that I could point to. So it's really good that you've got that that support. But that's kind of things we're trying to break down here, and with the other stuff I do, that it takes different shapes and forms, and not everyone's experience is the same, and it's not a competition ultimately. But it's great to have you back in chat, Pain Monkey. It feels like it's been a while. I might be wrong, by the way. My memory is fried. I talked about this on stream quite a lot and into talks I've done recently. Since I had COVID in February, I don't seem to have any bloody memory at all. So apologies if that's not true reflection, but that's how I sort of remember it being a while since we've seen you in this. So it's good to have you back. Hi Renoa, hope you're well. I'm loving the VIP and the subscriber badge next to your name, by the way. How you doing? Feel free to lurk away if everyone's got other things to do and lives to live, and you're always there, in some capacity with this channel. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. I remember when I used to have one of my knees very swollen when I was on crutches in school. I could point to that if people say, yeah, and that's the thing, Snuffle, I didn't have that, and that infuriated me. So when I had juvenile arthritis, it didn't show on x-rays, and x-rays are bloody fast, by the way. I was speaking to a doctor at that conference I was at the other week to sort of properly understand how, like, x-rays, the way they explained it is like x-rays will show historic damage, but they won't show active inflammation. And the amount of bloody people that rely on x-rays when they should just do a scan or an ultrasound and see what's going on live, rather than saying, oh, there's nothing on the x-ray. So my entire childhood has memories of doctors saying, but your x-rays are clear. Well, they would have been clear. I was freaking 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. There wasn't going to be that much time had passed for there to be lots of damage. I was young and I could recover quickly. So doing an x-ray at that when they could have just ultrasounded it would have been a much better option. But anyway, and I don't get anything in my blood tests. Like, literally, my white blood cell count is ridiculously low. It's always been ridiculously low. I have to be really, really unwell for that to go up. It's just ironic that I've got arthritis, but on blood tests my immune response just seems to be dead. But whether that's because of years of taking immunosuppressants, who knows? I was on methotrexate from the age of 14, so yeah, who knows? But yeah, there were definitely days where I wish I had something to show. But as a much older, wiser person now, I'm kind of glad that they didn't balloon like that, because having it so young, that wouldn't have been. I'm in a lot of pain now, so God knows what that would have meant if they had responded like that at that age when I was in a wheelchair. Because, like, being in a wheelchair when you've got nothing to point to, it's like this social construct that you're constantly butting your head against the wall with, because people see in your wheelchair and they expect you to point to your cast on your broken leg, or and I used to get it on crutches where people wouldn't hold the door for me. Like, if I was in a wheelchair the week before, they would. If I was on crutches, they wouldn't. Like, what was that about? And like, there's just some weird social thing going on there where people found it so much harder to empathise or understand. So yeah, that's why I bang on about a lot of my childhood experiences, because even though it was some 20 odd years in the past, it's still happening today for a lot of people. Like, I don't think it's as bad as like when I had to basically miss a whole year off school because the school couldn't accommodate a kid in a wheelchair. I'm pretty sure modern schools can do that now, and you've got remote work and all this sort of thing. But there are still the same stigmas and issues, going on. Thanks for mother has been ill through long curves for looking after. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I'm sorry to hear that. But hopefully you're off the other side now. There's lots of research being done about that, which is good. I know there's plenty of us in the autoimmune community that feel rubbish since having COVID, and the way I had it explained to me, I'm not a medical trained person, by the way, and I try to repeat that every single stream. But the way I had it explained to me by a doctor was that it's kind of like your body's in you're stuck in like this high alert state where you have the flare, you're pumped full of your antibodies, in my case monoclonal antibodies, and then your immune sort of alert state just stays there, so then it starts reacting to everything. Like this summer is the worst hay fever I've had in years. It could be complete coincidence, or it could just be that my immune system's overreacting again like it's done for most of my life. Yeah, and we are getting there. Well, the only thing I would say, Pain Monkey, is like looking at the data, I don't think the whole COVID thing's over. I'm pretty sure we're going to get another big hit of it in the autumn. And I've only just been called forward for my spring booster in June. Like, what, another week, and that'd be in July. And I got a text message 2 days ago saying you qualify for your spring booster. Well, technically, I qualified for my spring booster at the start of May. So there's a bit of a backlog there, but I'll get that in July, which will be my 5th vaccine. Yeah, 2 primaries, a 3rd primary, the 4th one, which was my first booster, and then this will be my 2nd booster, so my 5th. And then we wonder why our immune systems are behaving weirdly, and we're getting lots of issues, even though we should be fit and healthy, because we're telling our body to produce antibodies and respond and react, and our immune system to react, whilst we take all these drugs that tell it to calm the hell down. So I don't blame anyone for that. It's just it's common sense that my immune system's going to be a bit confused at the minute. Not to mention that COVID properly messed me up. Only for a week. I felt rough for several weeks afterwards, but the only time it was really dangerous was for a week. But it did mess me up. Sorry guys, I'm just checking my socials briefly, just see if anyone else submitted questions who didn't want to come on chat and just lurk. So what type of arthritis do you have, Pain Monkey, if you don't mind me asking? And you don't have to share at all if you don't want to, of course. Goes without saying. Sierra, I'm interested what your badge is next to your name. GLHF pledge. I'm not familiar with that. Can you educate me? Oh, I've just clicked signed a GLHF pledge in support for inclusive gamer communities. Awesome. I've never come across that before. But good on you. I'm going to take a look at that. I've not seen that before. Well, this looks intriguing. I'm going to look at that. I'm not going to comment on it on stream because it's the first time I've seen that pledge, but I'll look into that. By the way, guys, I take it the music in the background isn't too loud. I'm sure somebody would have said something by now after an hour, but if it is the balance is off, just let me know. because we switch on here between gaming streams, just chatting streams to interview streams, so it means I'm constantly having to change my audio levels, so I don't always get it right. Only human. So we've got lots of people lurking. If anyone wants to get involved and say hello or ask a question or share their experience, and please do. It's what we're here for. It's a safe space. Anything that breaks the rules, and obviously the usual reminder, the rules are here. Where are my rules there? It's common sense. Will get timed out or blocked. So yeah, if you want to get involved and share, and you don't even have to tell us who you are, you can hide behind your username. That's absolutely fine. The whole point of us being here is to create a safe space for us to talk about these issues. And if anyone passes that hasn't got these things, then we can raise awareness with them. And rest assured, I use all the videos and clips and everything else to raise awareness on other platforms to try and amplify our message. That's kind of what we're doing here. Once upon a time, I was spreading myself way too thin all over the place, trying to create videos and podcasts and shareable stuff and stuff that would try and get the message out there. And then one day I had the idea of, if I did it all on Twitch live, I could take those bits and put it on YouTube and turn it into podcasts and everything. So that's kind of what brought us here today. So yeah, feel free to get involved in the conversation, because you never know who out there might see it down the line, either on our YouTube or in another format, and it helps. Ultimately, that's why we're doing this. Hi Near Cheeks, hope you're well. You have got a founder's badge, Near Cheeks. I didn't think you had. I must admit. I thought all your subs were gifted. Even though you've probably got the most watch hours on the entire channel out of everyone. Hello YouTube people. Yeah, so it's one of the reasons, if you are new here guys, it's one of the reasons why chat is on the side of the window, because every now and then someone will say, well, I've got a chat window, why didn't it on screen? So we put all of this onto YouTube to try and help other people reach different audiences, raise awareness, all that sort of thing. So we just we archive everything off to the YouTube as is. I trim the start and the end, but pretty much every stream just as is. One day I hope to get organised enough to put chapters in. If you see me pause or scribble something down, that's me writing little numbers down for where I can take clips out. But if you guys want to clip important bits as you go along, that helps me so much you would not believe, because when you're streaming for 6 or 9 hours a week, trying to remember when you said that bit in the back of your mind that you think might be a good little thing to share on Instagram or something later is impossible. So yeah, if you're not aware of the feature, on your screen you'll see there's like a little movie, what are they called, them clipboard things, I don't know what the proper term is, but basically that will clip whatever I said 30 seconds before, up until the point you press the button. So when I'm doing my little rants and that, if anything comes up, I say rants, I should give myself more credit, they're not rants, are they? They're passionate pleas to raise awareness. Anything there that you think, you know what, that resonated, or that would help someone, or that could be useful, if you clip it, it saves me so much time you would not believe. Because otherwise, you know, at the minute I'm putting everything up on YouTube. I want to get to that point where I can chapter it, so if people want to see that bit where we talk about this, or that bit where, but at the minute I'm just one person and I've got a full-time job. I'm streaming 2 or 3 nights a week. I run a podcast, I'm writing for people, doing all the social media. I just can't. I run support groups, I can't do everything, but that would be really good if we could get more stuff to turn up, to create shareable little snippets, just to give people a snapshot of what we're doing here, to hopefully get them to come and check us out one day. That's the idea. Thank you for redeeming the pain point, Sacred. I am well hydrated because my voice is screwed after Friday night, but it was well worth it. Seeing Green Day, Weezer and Fall Out Boy on the same lineup was like 18-year-old me's dream. It was just like, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. Yeah, I think I would have fainted if that lineup come out when I was 18. Well, weirdly, when I was 18, I was one of the few in this country that was listening to Fall Out Boy, because I remember when their first album came out, no one had heard of them. I felt I needed to use points up. No, you're right. Like I say, they're there as a way of people to get involved for free. Everything on this channel shouldn't be about subscribing or tipping and cheering and everything else. So the pain points are just a bit of fun for people to redeem, and also show how long they've been hanging around, because you should have the ability to highlight your messages if you're a long-term supporter. And we're going to add more stuff onto the pain points, by the way, guys. That is just the start for those. And the same as like the Guide the Rage, you know, like it's completely uncool for people to drop in chat and promote their channel or their stream or their mate stream or whatever. But if people have racked up a ton of pain points and want to have a say in where we go at the end of the stream, then why not? Because you've supported me, I'll happily support somebody else in return. Sorry. Yeah, I missed the boat on the My Chemical Romance tour coming back. To be fair, I've got to say I've got so many lined up now, because like for those of you who have been here before, I'm on this big push to try and get out and tackle some sort of social anxiety that's set in since the pandemic and shielding and everything else. So I went to Download Festival and then Hella Mega Tour on Friday. I've got Gaslight Anthem back together. I'm going to see that in August. I'm going to see Rise Against in November. I'm going to see Biffy Clyro again in November. So yeah, lots. I'm trying to ride that wave, and for anyone that's experienced that stuff, will know how important it is to keep on the horse with that sort of thing. It's just really easy to slip back, and that's one of the reasons why my other half constantly nags me to do the streams when I get literally that last half hour before I go live is where I'm most likely to come up with an excuse not to do it, because the whole anxiety and feeling guilty if I'm off work and all that sort of thing. But if I don't do one stream, it's so much harder to do the next one. So you have to just keep going with it and keep going with it. I need to mark yours as completed. Nathan, thanks for cashing those in. Sorry, I just said your real name. That doesn't happen very often. I'm normally quite good at not linking usernames to real world names, so apologies for that. You're just doing what's best for me, Nia. Once again, guys, forgot to open the window before I start streaming, and that's alright for the first half hour, and then my PC is an absolute juggernaut down by my feet, and it starts kicking up heat, and you've got the lights and everything else. So apologies if I'm looking a bit shiny on camera. Yeah, sorry, Sacred, that was a slip. I'm normally quite good at not doing that. I was terrible when I first started. That's the hardest thing to get used to, because when you first start streaming, you've maybe got one viewer if you're lucky. More often than not, it's a mate, and that you've convinced to try and come along. And yeah, the amount of times I used to do that, I've got a lot better at it. Poor old Nia Cheeks. She keeps his channel going. You don't see it behind the scenes. So yeah, has anyone else in chat had that experience of sort of that guilt feeling when you're off work and you feel like you can't do anything, even if it's just playing on the Xbox? And like, why wouldn't you? Like, if you're off work, I don't know, with a stomach bug, but there's a couple of hours where you're not in the bathroom long enough, then why not? Why can't you? You know, it's just mad that. But especially, I think in this country, we're terrible for it, of putting that pressure on, and we got that sort of man up culture, haven't we? And we put so much importance on work. I think it impacts our health, and it certainly impacted my health for a long time. I'll do another quick check of social media, guys, because I don't want to exclude anyone. By the way, guys, if you want to get involved, the Chronic Pain Club, this stream came from a public support group I set up on Facebook. If anyone wants to check that out, you can find the links there. As with all public support groups about pain, you get the odd idiot promising miracle cures, which we quickly kick. But apart from that, they're pretty good. They're an amazing bunch. And some really open conversations on there from people all around the world. But ultimately, the story behind it is I run a t-shirt company. You can see one of them behind me there. Called the Pain Company, and it was created to raise in the pandemic to raise awareness of the millions of people that are stuck in chronic pain without a cure. So it's just basically t-shirts with messaging to start conversations and raise awareness. That's the idea. But also we're sort of an organic, ethical brand, sustainably sourced, carbon neutral, all that jazz. Just trying to do our bit to start conversations, and off the back of that came the Chronic Pain Club, which was just like a bit of a I don't know, sort of just a branding sort of thing to try and get people together under, and that's kind of took off from there. And then this stream was born as a place where we talk about it. So if you're not comfortable sharing stuff on Facebook, you can come here, and vice versa. If you're not comfortable with Twitch, you can do stuff on there. I can definitely relate to feeling like that. Yeah, it's hard, Snuffle, and it doesn't. I think the trouble is, what my experiences is, attitudes are changing, but quite hypocritically in a way. I'm still stuck because of the experiences I had when I was younger. Does that make sense? So like, because I had such bad experiences in my 20s of basically like essentially getting sacked because of my health, even though because of the type of person I am, I could see it coming and said, screw you, I'm off. I think when you have those traumatic experiences, you hold them for a long while and you just assume every day you're going to get sacked or every day something terrible is going to happen, and you carry that with you. So in the sort of 10-15 years that have passed since, attitudes have thankfully changed, but I'm still very much stuck holding on to that memory. And like I say, I don't think you can get rid of it. It's like the guilt, but you can work with it, and that's one of the things pain management taught me. Sacred, what you got to say? The only time I ever feel really bad is I can't be with someone to help them, no matter what if they're going through. I just feel like it should be something I do. No, it's true. And there's been times where I've felt like that, Sacred, where because of my health I haven't been able to be there for someone, and I feel like the worst person ever. Now, you know, the 37-year-old me would say, well, you were prioritising your health, you've got to live with that for the rest of you only get sort of one body and everything else, and you prioritise your health, and that's now seen as a positive thing to me. But there are always them scenarios where I have to either protect or look after myself at the expense of stuff I could do to help others. And I do the same with this advocacy stuff. You know, how many times, for those of you that are over on the Discord server, where I've said, sorry guys, I can't tonight and I feel really awful, and you guys are like, just take it easy, see you when you're well. But I will spend that entire night beating myself up, but I was doing the right thing. I was prioritising my health, but it doesn't mean we then make it easy on ourselves. Live with that decision, even if we make the right one. The ones you love and care about, you understand if you can't participate. Yeah, and what I would say as well, Near Cheeks, for them ones that have got people around them that don't, they're not worth the energy either. You see a lot on social media these days about people removing sort of toxic people, and there's a lot to be said for that. You know, a couple of years back, I had a bit of a clear out on that front, and it probably was the best thing I'd ever done. Because my life now is very different to my life 10 years ago. You know, when I was touring in bands and playing sport and I was never home, I was out every night doing stuff. You're always going to get individuals where, as your life changes, your journey with your chronic illness changes, that you couldn't participate in the things that brought you two together in the first place. That always was going to be an issue, but some people can't adjust to that. Some people are really understanding, but unfortunately there'll always be a minority that can't adjust to that and use terms like run it off or pull yourself together or all those other unhelpful terms, and then that ends up causing conflict and toxicity. And sometimes there comes a point where you have to think, I'm in a healthier place without you in my life, and that's a really hard thing to do, but sometimes it's what's necessary, you know. My voice is holding up pretty well, considering. I did a lot of singing on Friday night. But it's weird, you forget that your voice is a muscle as well. Because like when I played in a band, I would be able to like sing 2 or 3 nights a week, plus a rehearsal, and my voice would very rarely go. The only time it used to go was right in the early days when everyone used to smoke in clubs, and that would proper ruin my voice. Like if I was in a club all night, people smoking, and we weren't on till 9, 10 o'clock at night, my voice would never hold. It'd just dry up. But you forget when you go back to gigs and sing and stuff, it's a muscle just like everything else, and you're like, why's my voice cracking after 4 songs? So Snuffle, what's keeping you from the woods tonight? You must have had a better offer. So for those of you that are new here, we're back here on Tuesday night streaming Animal Crossing as a project that we do with IFPA. You can find more details there in chat, where we basically aim to raise awareness of psoriatic disease and build the community that you see here today. So yeah, come check that out on Friday if you want something a bit different. Sunday nights is our just chatting or talk show or podcast recording stream. Normally every other one we'll have a guest on. And it also depends how much time I've got to prep, you know, what I'm doing the weekend and everything. We've got a very long list of people who want to be guests, which is awesome. It's the big issue is me, really, because there's a lot of prep goes into getting somebody on screen on time, and to do an interview that lasts like an hour. So we've got lots of people lined up for that in the coming weeks. But yeah, we also stream Animal Crossing, where it's a bit more sort of light-hearted. But we still try to do the messaging and raising awareness and everything, but it's definitely a bit more light-hearted on a Tuesday night. And then on Thursday, you can find us here, brand new for this week, doing an off-topic stream where we just play computer games and hang out. If you guys want to talk about the awareness stuff and the chronic illness stuff in chat, then please do. It's what this community is for. But I just won't be leading it as much, and you know, I'll dip in and out. But that's more just to have a bit of a social, really. I hurt my ankle quite bad the other day. I'm sorry about that. Accident, I take it, rather than flare. But I'll be back there soon. Keep up the walking. That's the one thing I miss massively since I lost my dog. Because even on the days where the weather was miserable or you felt like shit, it got you out of the house. And now it's just too easy for me to make excuses not to. And the weight is piling on with it, which isn't great. So yeah, keep up the walking as soon as you're able, because I really am terrible at that, but I need to pull my finger out. What's the walking stuff? Well, is that more for sort of like well-being, or is it for health, or is it because of that's your route to work? I'm just intrigued. Because the benefits of walking aren't talked about enough. I think a lot of people in our communities tend to talk about, oh, I wish I could run, or I wish I could play football, or what. But walking was a real lifeline for me. When Shielding ended, you know, I really struggled during Shielding, but when Shielding ended, I was walking like bloody 10 miles a day. I was stupid at one point. I was jogging in the wood at like 9:30 p.m. and I somehow didn't see that ladder. Funny that, when you're jogging at night in the woods, Snuffle. I really hope you vary your route a little bit, because you're very predictable otherwise. What did you think of Oranges the other day? Feel you had more viewers than you? Yeah, I definitely did, Sacred. It surprised me, because I must admit, I would have been happy if I came on there was just 3 people watching, because we are really niched down on what we do on this channel for obvious reasons. But I just wanted to add a bit of... It's silly that I play computer games and then I don't stream them, you know, when I've got this community here. But I also didn't know how it was going to work with it being off topic. But obviously you guys always come through and all the regulars turned up. And I really enjoyed it. So we'll definitely carry that on a Thursday. I'm just sorry, as I put on Discord, that I accidentally killed the first boss, not thinking that there was going to be a load of cutscenes. So what we'll do on Thursday, we'll start the stream. I'll find a YouTube clip of the cutscenes we missed, and then going forward in my spare time, I'll just do side quests, because ultimately I'm never going to complete the game if I need to play it once a week for 3 hours a week. It's just not going to happen. You'll still be here in 2025 and I wouldn't have finished it. So I need to do some offline, but I just need to stay away from the main story. But I was still learning the game, and I didn't realise what was side quest, what was main quest, until I killed this guy, and suddenly this big secret was revealed, and I was like, oh shit. That really should have been on stream. Yeah, I do it for my health every day. Yeah, keep that up, Snuffle. There's lots of people out there complaining about their condition, but also not doing everything they could to help it as well. You know, occasionally I put myself into that category, because I know, I was looking at my Facebook memories, and a year ago I tried running and cracked out a 3-mile run out of nowhere, despite being massively overweight to when I used to do running, and having very rigid joints that aren't very ain't got the same flexibility they had. So I know I can do it. It's the brain that's stopping me. You know, it's the low mood, that sort of thing, the effort required. I do the same route every day, to be fair. I can just go on autopilot. Yeah. Just don't be too predictable, Snuffle. That worries me. People that do that. That's like when females jog on their own, and I used to walk a dog, and I'd see them at the same time every single night, and I think to myself, just mix that up a bit, because any terrible people there are out there in the world, and unfortunately there are far too many, it was so obvious when they would be running and where. Yeah. And always tell someone where you're going, especially in the bloody woods. If you get stranded there, you need to know someone's going to miss you when you don't come back at the normal time. You don't strike me as the walking type, Sacred. Nobody racks up the amount of hours on computer games you do if they're into walking. Yeah, it might not be a good idea on a dud ankle though, Snuffle. I'd give that time to recover. Ice, elevate, move, repeat and all that. As someone who's done their ankle plenty of times. It's always the same ankle for me. I've started doing a lot more walking in the past couple of weeks at least. Not really gaming as much. Yeah, well, it's good to take a break, mate. As somebody that very much went down that rabbit hole in pandemic times, it's good to have a bit of variety as well. There's a lot to be said for going outside. I didn't appreciate it until I went into that shielding thing for 6 months. I didn't appreciate how much I just liked walking across fields or being under trees and the beach and all those sort of things, because it is just a bit of thinking space. And I think that's the bit I suffer the most from not having a dog anymore, is that thinking time. You know, I used to stick a podcast on, but half the time I was never listening to it. I was thinking, you know, and whether it was about this advocacy stuff or what I was going to do for dinner or what I was going to write about. I feel so rushed now, just because I don't have that half an hour in the morning and half an hour at night to plan and think. And you know, with a 3-year-old, I don't always have time to have a long bath and that sort of thing, the things that normally help me. But that's why, like, when I have a bath, if I ever get the chance, when I have the chance to, I could be in and out in 15 minutes, but I end up staying there for 45 minutes because I'm finding I'm trying to do my thinking time then. I really do miss that headspace time with walking, big time. I start doing a bit more gardening now, which helps sort of fill that gap a little bit. Again, not as relaxing when you need eyes in the back of your head with a 3-year-old running around like a lunatic, but it's still outdoors and it's still a good way of taking your mind off stuff. Nature is underestimated. So guys, I'll be lining up a guest for this show on next week's Chronic Pain Club, so next Sunday. So keep an eye on my socials during the week for that. To be fair, we've actually got a couple to choose from, so I'll try and get that sorted out nice and early on in the week, so we can get that down, and maybe it'll give you time on social to pose questions, because that's another thing I'd like to get you guys to do, is get a bit more involved in those conversations. So obviously when we interview and do our talk show on here on a Sunday night, which happens to be normally every other Sunday, I can't engage with you on chat. One, it'd be rude to the guest, but two, it wouldn't work for when we use the audio as a podcast if I'm dipping in and out of chat that the listener can't see. So it'd be good if you guys can get involved in, we do the opportunity. Most guests are happy to do a little Q&A at the end, but it'd be good if you guys could submit the questions in advance that I could factor into the interview, and maybe we could pick that up on Discord. A link's there in chat, guys, if you're not already over there. It's completely free to join. You don't need to be a subscriber or anything like that. But yeah, please head over there and get involved. All the lovely people you see here chatting today are over there, and yeah, it's where we talk about all the stuff in the channel and plan things and this sort of thing. So yeah, if you guys thought that'd be something you'd like to do, then let me know either here or on Discord, and I'll start opening up channels when we get guests for you guys to sort of submit your questions, and I'll pick a couple out. Just going to check my social, see if we had any more questions online. Internet's very quiet tonight. It is a Sunday, I suppose. Oh, so for the regulars you here, well, for anyone really, but for the regulars who'll know I've got a vested interest, there's some good news. I'm going to be a expert by experience member of my local pain management team that helped me massively, and you guys have no doubt heard me bang on and on about the benefits of pain management on here ever since I went through that process. So there's a few checks, balances and things and that to be done before I sort of get onboarded onto that, but I'm really excited about it. A completely voluntary role, but just an opportunity for me to sort of sit in some of those sessions and seminars and treatments and things that I had personally, and kind of say to those people at the start of that journey, like, I've been where you are and I was skeptical and it's done wonders for me, and stick with it and open your mind and give it an opportunity, all that sort of stuff. So I feel like that's going to be really rewarding. And again, trying to explain, I was having a conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago, trying to explain to people how that's kind of part of my therapy. People, again, it's that kind of mindset of, why are you taking on more stuff if you're not at work or whatever, but trying to explain that how I cope with my shit situation. And for those who don't know, you can find out about it by going through back catalogue, go to my website, socials, whatever. But I'm in permanent pain because of a mistake that happened in 2019. Mistake, incompetence, whichever way you want to see it, combined with the stress of becoming a dad. I'm left in permanent pain, and sometimes that gets quite miserable. Most of the time I'm fine, but normally about one day a week that situation redawns on you, and it's awfully depressing, and it affects your mental health, and it makes you contemplate things you never thought you would ever contemplate as an otherwise guy. You feel lucky, you've got a beautiful family and everything else, but it does take you to some dark places. And part of me coping with that was finding my advocacy, as we've already talked about on here tonight, but also giving something back and helping others so that they don't have to be in that place that I was. That is part of, you know, I think one of the reasons I'm still here, because there was plenty of times where I wanted to give up, but finding that voice and finding that way of helping others makes my situation a little more palatable, I suppose. So yeah, just because somebody's not well enough to work, it doesn't mean they're not well enough to help others. You know, you don't have to close off and be an arsehole because you're not well enough to work. Sacred, thank you so much for a sub, 2-month subscription. Thank you ever so much. Really appreciate it. I know it's just a few quid for you, but it helps me massively. But it's not really the financial thing. It's more that it tells Twitch what we're doing here is growing. You know, we got to affiliate really quickly on this channel. We started in January. We were affiliate by February. And then what normally happens with algorithms and everything, nobody found us for a while. So the fact that we're sort of getting new subscribers every single month and new followers and things are growing and the viewing figures are going up and up and up, you know, we're pretty much close to an average of double figures now. No matter what we stream, what we cover, we sort of average now sort of 10 to 12 viewers, which is amazing considering what we cover here being very niche and very new. So by you guys hitting that follow button, pressing that sub button, getting involved in chat, even the number of people talking in your chat matters to the way that Twitch recognises what channels add value and what channels are, you know, they're ducks. I suppose it's a bit unfair to those people, but you know what I mean. There are plenty. We've all come across those streams where it's just somebody goes live because they can, but they're not really actively trying to build a community or do something. So yeah, thank you guys. It doesn't seem like a lot, that couple of quid a month or hitting that follow button, but it really does help. And like I say, just getting involved in chat, because there's no coincidence that our viewing figures started going up when we started getting you awesome regulars dropping in every single stream and all saying hello to each other. And it also makes it more welcome when people pass by. You know, I've done it. If I'm a new viewer at a stream, you sit and you watch for a little bit and you lurk and you get the lay of the land. But if there's lots of people chatting and it's really friendly, I'm a lot more likely to say hello or comment on something going on screen than I would if it was just, you know, dust. And I'm trying to think what are the things you see in the Western films that blow across the desert. I've gone blank. Those things. If it was just silence. So thank you guys for being a part of it. It really helped. And like I keep saying, guys, we're a new channel, but we grow together. Tumbleweed, thank you, Sacred. I went completely blank. I've done well, to be fair. An hour and a half in before I got brain fog. We grow together. A lot of what I do is on the basis of your feedback and what you guys sort of feedback to me in Discord and what happens on stream. So, you know, take this for example. I wanted to do a Just Chatting stream purely about chronic illness from day one, and I was petrified. So what did I do? I started my channel and I started streaming 2 Point Hospital because I didn't know what else to do, and people I thought were expected to see a computer game on screen. And I kind of tried to use that as a way of sneakily talking about my arthritis and things like that, and it didn't really work. And then one day we went to do the Animal Crossing stream and it failed. My hardware failed. I chucked some background music on and we started talking, and until Amy's awesome recent interview on this show a couple of weeks ago, that was by far the highest number of viewers we'd ever had on a stream. And that kind of confirmed to me, like, yes, this is what I wanted to do. I just didn't believe in myself enough to have the confidence to do it, and you guys gave me that confidence. So yeah, we grow together. You Snuffle, there weren't many people about then who would remember it, because I was doing that in like December before I advertised. I never said I was going live. I never said I had a Twitch channel until about January the 1st, I think, was when I first started really advertising it. So yeah, it's very much appreciated that you were kicking around in those days where I had no graphics and I didn't know how to handle chat. Some would argue I still don't. Yeah, had no lighting and it was very basic. But it's a reminder though, it's good to go back to some of the clips and stuff from those streams. That's why I don't think I'll ever delete anything off YouTube. You know, there's probably some really cringy old videos on there. But I think it's important to remember where you come from, isn't it? I know it's a cliche, but it's true. And some people don't want to know where they come from, and they delete all. You see it on Instagram all the time, don't you? Someone's been like on Instagram for 10 years, tens of thousands of followers, but they've only got 10 posts, because you know that their manicure and their feed to look perfect. And I don't believe in that nonsense. Those of you that follow me know I don't. So I don't care if mine looks like a cat's been sick over my feed. I post what's important, or what I think is important, and what I think people need to hear and be aware of. I don't care if it's pretty, or if every other post is a blue photo to give it a colour scheme. I ain't got time for that. I can't lie, lads. I've gone on a walk. My ankle seems to be okay. Like I say, Snuffle, just tell people when you're going for a walk. Like, not us, we're no good. We don't know where you are. We don't know who you really are. I think I have a bit of an idea because of social media, but you know what I mean? We can't check in on you if you had an accident or whatever. So if you are going to insist on continuing going for walks in the woods at night with a dodgy leg, at least let somebody know when you should be back and where to find you if they don't. Good, thank you. I really don't want to be one of those YouTube clips you see of some streamer having a last conversation with someone before they went missing. I'm joking, but it's obviously also a semi-serious subject, so like, you know what I mean, just looking out for you. You're my peeps. Right, guys, one thing we do, it's a bit off topic for the regulars, one thing we do need to sort out is that Animal Crossing community stream where we check out other people's islands. So please remind me on Discord to get something started about that, because I don't want to forget. You know what my brain is like at the minute. I have so many ideas, I quickly forget the ones that are already in flight. It's not intentional or malicious. I'm always 100 miles an hour with this stuff. My wife would argue if only I was like that, like around the house, but it's just, you know, it's like when there's something you're passionate about. So I'm trying to rest my voice a little bit, guys. We've done dinner then soon. Well, to be fair, Sacred, you don't normally start your dinner till about 10:30 at night, do you? I never ain't known anyone like it. You're like a changed man. Changed man. Talking about dinner before 9 o'clock. Right, how did the vandalism van return, Snuffle? Because how you made it sound, it was pretty like burnt out, redundant kind of thing. Changed man, Sacred. Kind of thought it was, apparently I was wrong. It's either that or you went through some like Matrix thing and it, I don't know, you saw a different different reality. I don't know. Don't know how it could disappear. Is it maybe this is just an actual van that works and somebody goes out in it and it comes back? Also, what's it doing in the woods? Like, I could think of a few things they could be doing in a van in the woods. Hopefully they're just dog walkers. Yeah, no worries, Sacred. No worries at all. I think anyone who's dropping by now, and we've been talking about chronic illness chat all night, and then the 2 minutes they see is us talking about a knackered van in the woods. It's like very confusing and off topic. It's a bit of an in-joke. If you are new here, hi, welcome guys. On Sunday nights we run the Chronic Pain Club, where we talk all things chronic illness, invisible disability, raise awareness, but also to build a community for you guys to get support from each other in. So feel free to share your experiences in chat, ask questions either of me or the community as a whole, say hello. Every other week on this stream on a Sunday night we get a guest in to interview, which then goes on to be a Joel vs Arthritis podcast episode. So we try to alternate it, so weeks like this it's just us hanging out, chatting, covering topics, and then we can use various bits of that to raise awareness on other platforms. And then another week will be a case of us having, you know, a really interesting guest on that we can all learn from and listen to. So yeah, and we also do other things during the week. Check out the schedule tab on the channel. Most interesting. I don't know whether that's funny or I should feel sorry. most of the interesting things that happen for you are when you're walking in the woods alone. There must be more to Snuffle than that. The fact that you keep us running while you're on these walks does amuse me though. You must have good signal in your neck of the woods, no pun intended. So guys, as usual, if anything discussed on tonight's show affects you or you want more help on, 2 options for that. One, you've got my support groups there in chat. One's a private one, which is a much more safer space. One is a much more popular public group, but bear in mind it's a public Facebook group. Stuff you comment on there will be seen by people who follow you or friends and family. Or alternatively, if you want to drop me a message, my socials are there and I can signpost you to people that might be able to help. So well aware that, you know, even though we're a chronic illness, that's easier said than done, invisible disability channel, you know, talking about things like arthritis, psoriatic disease, etc. There is a lot of mental health crossover. You know, I talk quite openly about my mental health experiences. If anyone this is supposed to be a supportive place. It's supposed to be a place where people feel represented and that they're not alone and that others are sharing the same experiences as them. But obviously, if anything comes up tonight that does sort of leave you in a worse place than what you started, please do reach out for signposts or follow the links you see there in my socials and support groups. Also helps, by the way, when guys do that, if you let me know what part of the world you're in, because it's really hard to signpost people if I don't know what area they're in and therefore what support you qualify for. And as always guys, I'm not medically trained. I can't emphasise that enough. I'm just a patient advocate talking about my lived experience, sharing the lived experiences of others. So I can't answer your medical questions, but I'm certainly willing to listen to them and empathise with them as well. As usual guys, I've got the chilled EDM on in the background. If anyone wants to mix that up, let me know. I can put something else on. It's really difficult these days with all the restrictions on what we can play. So we can't play anything you're going to know. It has to be all these sort of royalty-free songs. My area is England, Norfolk, sorry, not sure how help literally got back, as you said, about where people are from. Yeah, it's just like I say, because ultimately, Sacred, we're trying to build a community here where people can get support. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they come on here and the issues we discussed leaves them in a worse place. So that's the idea. At some point, I will get a trigger button set up for like a list of resources. Just again, it's time, and there's so many things we've got to do with this ever-evolving channel. But for in the meantime, yeah, reach out either via Discord, DM, whatever, my socials, and I can point you in the right direction. But like I say, I'm not medically trained. I can't help everyone. And some days I am getting north of 30 messages a day. So an element of cherry picking does have to happen as well occasionally. So if you're in my DMs offering me turmeric to cure my arthritis, why'd you go to hell? You're not going to get a reply. I've got more important people to deal with real issues and real solutions other than miracle cures. You have a channel idea, go for it, Sacred. Go for it. And no, I'm not getting in a hot tub. I'm not getting in a hot tub. I'm not selling my bath water. I'm not wearing a bikini. Or any of those things. Might detract away from the message that we've got on this channel. Just slightly. A lot of suspense over this channel idea now. Oh, it's either going to be really good or terrible. That's an idea. It terrifies me, but that's an idea, Sacred. So basically, I think it was Selby before asked about me playing guitar, and that the issue I've got is that I start streaming at 7 because that's where my son goes to bed next door, and that might cause an issue. Would it be any louder than? I'm pretty sure me singing would be louder than me talking to you guys, but there is the potential that one day we can do some daytime streams where that's an option, or at the weekend. Obviously you have to be careful of family commitments and stuff like that, but yeah, I never considered the whole using that music to then have as background. I don't know though, there's only so much, Joel, you guys could take, let's be honest. Oh, I'm a far better singer than I am a guitar player, Sacred, trust me. I've been playing guitar for years, but I've always been shit at it. Always. You see me keep itching my neck, guys. That's the sunburn that's doing my head in. I don't think it can really get picked up on stream, but it's getting dry and itchy and sore now. Yeah, it's weird. When I was actually in a band doing this stuff around the country, I had far more confidence in my bass playing than my singing. But as I've got older, I got more confidence in my singing than my guitar playing, which makes no sense, but it's an age thing, maybe. Could be completely unfounded, deluded confidence, of course, but confidence nonetheless. So yeah, with that we'll put that one on the back burner, Sacred, but it's we can definitely do some variety stuff. Like I say, I've now got the confidence to do off-topic streaming because I think when we first started, it was all obviously about the whole awareness stuff. I feel I've got the confidence now that you guys all know each other well enough in chat and everything that you're going to hang out regardless. So, which then gives me confidence to do like the Assassin's Creed playthrough on a Thursday night now going forwards. Whether or not I got the confidence to expand that to me playing my music, who knows? Especially with my brain fog as well. But yeah, I think the thing is, just about the nature of what we're doing here, it's just going to take time for people to find us. It just is. And then at some point we'll cross that point. It's a bit like with my advocacy stuff and that. Like when I started that blog in 2019, the first couple of weeks, nobody's reading it. I didn't expect anyone to read it. And then it started to snowball and it freaked me out because it suddenly made me realise that people I might know in the real world are reading it. And then I kind of got to a point where I embraced that. But for a long while, it was just me shouting into the void as a way of venting. I think the difference with the channel is that I want it to be a place that helps people. So there's more meaning behind it than when I was just writing a sort of online diary as a way of coping. I want people to find this because the stuff I'm talking about, I've already gone through, I've already learned. So I don't need to go, obviously get something out chatting with you guys. There's a bit of a social and a release for me. But the real people it's aimed at is for the people out there who might be on Twitch just watching computer games, not knowing there's people like me out here doing this to bring attention to their situation. So I feel a lot more pressure in this finding people than I ever did my writing, because that was just a happy accident. You know, and I've got confidence in my writing. I know I'm quite a good writer. Like, that is the one time you'll hear me say anything good about myself. And I believe in that part of my skill set. But everything that followed afterwards was just like a bit mind blowing. But it is definitely different for this channel, because, you know, it's not just the 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 times a week we're online. It's all the prep, it's all the kit that goes into it, it's all the research and the effort and promoting and that. And there's hours and hours go into it in the hope that you can just find a handful of people out there that didn't feel represented that suddenly do. That's ultimately what we're trying to achieve. But never stop suggesting things, because like I keep saying, guys, this channel, we're all growing together with it. So yeah, I'm all ears. Ultimately, it was you guys that had the confidence for me to do Just Chat and stream in the first place, so that tells you everything. Clearly that you guys know better than I do. Ultimately. So guys, if you are hanging around in chat, that's absolutely fine. We appreciate lurkers as much as anyone else, because it really does help us. And if you're getting just anything from this, then lurk all day. It literally is what it's meant for. If you could hit the follow button so you know when we go live, that would help us massively. We are a chronic illness stream, and I'm a chronic illness streamer. Timekeeping is not always possible. You know, flares and pain and stuff happens that means I can't always be 100% reliable, as the regulars will know, and streams get moved around or delayed or whatever. So by hitting that follow button and having that notification turned on, you'll be the first to know, along with our Discord community, that I'm basically having to change the schedule or mix it up a little bit. So yeah, if you like what you see, then hit the button. Cheers, guys. And that'll be the last time I mention it tonight, I promise. The chat hive mind knows all. I think there's some of you guys in chat who listen to me spend so many hours on here talking now knows more about me than I know about myself. Yeah, cheers, Sacred. The one thing I do need to pull my finger out and sort out was mods, and I know a couple of you have already offered, so thank you. I'm just trying to think how I best go about setting that up. It feels like it needs to be like a little 20-minute, maybe not even that, 15-minute call where I say, like, this is how I want it to work, do's and don'ts kind of thing, especially when I'm on, like, doing the interviews, because if someone jumps in chat and starts upsetting people, you know, it's all well and good if I say, oh, Sacred, give that person a timeout, and I can do that on these sort of streams or the IFBR Island streams, but when I'm deep in conversation with a guest, I can't give an instruction. So there'd need to be some sort of like guidelines about how I'd want people to handle certain situations, that sort of thing. But that is definitely something I need sorting. The next big challenge I've got is how do I make the most of YouTube, because I know anyone that watches enough YouTube will know that there's probably enough bits said in these streams that if we just clip that 20 seconds or whatever, put a fancy filter on it and angle and everything else, it would probably do really well on social media. I just don't have the time. I can't stream 9 hours a week, work 40 hours a week, do all the other stuff I do around the Joel vs Arthritis stuff, and have time to make the fancy videos that you see do really well on YouTube. And that depresses me, because again, I'm not one for having a lot of self-belief. I genuinely believe that if we took certain snippets of these streams, either stuff that the guests say or stuff that I say, or bits that you prompt me into one of my little rants, I'm convinced that that could really amplify and get some attention on the channel and YouTube channel. But I just don't have time. So if anyone knows out there, anyone that wants it for their portfolio or a bit of experience, getting involved, editing some YouTube clips or whatever, that would help massively. Like I say, even if it's just do it for a couple of months to have it on your portfolio, then yeah, drop me an email, get in touch. My links to my socials are there. Yeah, no worries, Sacred. I know you're happy. I do appreciate it, but I'll keep mentioning every now and then when there is some bits. Just it's really frustrating where you think you're onto something, you think you've got an idea, and life and time and everything else gets in the way. And as I often say to my wife, like regularly, I just wish I discovered all this when I was 19 or at university, before I'd gone so deep into other life decisions, because it's kind of all I want to do at the minute, but time, it's just not possible to. And I feel like I'm not letting it reach its potential at the minute, but if it's good enough, people will come. I can't remember what that Wayne's World 2 quote is, but whatever that quote is, they will come. If you play, they'll come, or I can't remember. I'm probably showing my age here, and I haven't got anyone in chat that's even watched Wayne's World. If you haven't, have a word of yourself and go watch Wayne's World. In Wayne's World 2, there was a line that's eluding me, about they put on like a Woodstock recreation festival. It's not as good, Sacred. It's not as good as the first one, but still funny. It was like right in my generation when that came, like in the 90s, the birth of MTV, Wayne's World, Smells Like Teen Spirit, music video, all that jazz. What a time to be alive. I'll go back to the 90s. My spirit decade. But then isn't everyone like that about the year like they were at school, their teenage years? It's just funny, isn't it? Like, even though I got these horrific experiences with arthritis as a teenager, that is still, but for me, the time. I will go back to 1990 to 95. Oasis emerging. All that game changing stuff in the UK. Yeah, it was. Beavis and Butthead. Alright, I'm showing my age now, I'm going to shut up, but yeah, take me back to 1994. Or 92, I can catch the end of Nirvana. Who played at, would you believe this, Sacred? They played at the Arts Centre in Norwich. And at the Waterfront, but I think the first time they came to Norwich was the Arts Centre and nobody knew who they were. What you'd give to go back in time and see that gig. Right, anyone, last call for any questions, comments, subjects you want us to cover, guys, tonight, before we wrap this up. I'll do one last check of socials, but it is a Sunday night, so it's quite quiet, to be honest. I'll go and get a load up about midnight tonight, usually. That's where I put my phone down and wake up in the morning to hundreds of notifications when Americans are sort of caught up on the posts that I've done. I feel like you're definitely too young, Snuffle. Stay that way. You'll be telling your kids about how awesome grime music was or something. Billie Eilish. Speaking of Billie Eilish, the Glastonbury lineup was very disappointing this year. Really disappointing. You know, apologies to any Billie Eilish or Diana Ross fans out there. It just doesn't seem to hold the same weight as previous lineups. Alright, any more questions, either for the community, myself, or topics you'd like us to cover, guys, before we call it for tonight? By the way, thank you for everyone who's followed, subscribed. You know, it's awesome when we get a sort of the range of people's support. anyone that's took clips, because I don't see them when they're done live. I see them after we end the stream. And as always, you'll find a recording of this over on YouTube in its entirety. All I do is take off the start and the end so people don't have to wait, because, you know, we live in 2022. People have got the patience of a gnat. So if you head over to YouTube, you'll find all our back catalogue there, including highlights and clips and some other sort of more shareable vids. And if you can give us a subscribe over there, that'd be great. That'd help massively, because it is new what we're doing with that. So it takes a little bit of time. But what the idea is it pulls people to the live shows. That's so that we have more people involved in chat, and it's why I put chat on screen, so that people can see what they're missing out on. You know, Snuffle talking about the woods and Sacred. I don't know. I was going to find something to pick on you, but I can't think of anything from tonight's stream. And you've subscribed, so I feel like I really shouldn't. But yeah, joking aside, the idea is to try and showcase what we've got here as a community and what we're building, and hopefully in time people will come check out a live one or hit that follow button or whatever. So yeah, okay guys, I think we will wrap it up there for now. Thank you for everyone's contributions tonight. Thank you for all of the subs, follows, new first time chatters and everything else. Thank you for turning up on these Just Chat streams, because I appreciate they're not as sexy as when we have a guest and we get sort of double figures and everything else, but these are important conversations to have, and they, you know, someone out there it makes a difference to. So when it might be me behind the mic, but you guys contribute just as much to this. It'd be nothing without your questions, sharing your experiences and everything else. If you'd like to know more about what I do, my advocacy, patient leadership work, etc., my links to all my socials are there. And I will be back on Tuesday at 7 o'clock with Ifbar Island streaming Animal Crossing. So until next time, guys, have a great rest of your weekend, what few hours left of it is. I hope Monday is kind to you, and cheers for hanging out with me tonight. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.